Let's talk about writing conclusions. We've talked about introductions and background and viewpoints and that sort of thing. Now we're going to talk about writing a good conclusion. So this is the last paragraph that you're going to write in your essay, and it needs to be a good one. So for the conclusion, you want to imagine your reader is leaving the room. So you've been standing up in front of a room, kind of lecturing to an audience all this time. Now your readers are getting up, they're walking out the door. The conclusion is what you shout to them as the door is closing behind them. It's the last thing that they're going to remember from your essay, so you want to leave an impression on them. An impression that kind of sums up the whole essay and makes them think about why the topic that you wrote about is significant. Your conclusion really needs to do three things, or do two things and not do one thing. So first of all, you're going to re-emphasize the main points you made in your paper, including your thesis. So you're basically summarizing your own paper. What you don't want to do is raise new claims. So make sure that you avoid raising new claims, that you only re-emphasize points that you've already brought up before. You don't want to start talking about things that you meant to bring up but forgot to do earlier in the paper. Don't do that. And then you want to incorporate pathos. And so you're going to do this by ending with either a call to action or speculating on the future of your topic. And so we'll talk more specifically about that now. So call to action is, what do people need to do to get involved? Who can help? How can they help? So you're telling us, okay, you've just read this whole essay about my topic and why it's important. Now I'm going to tell you what you need to do to make a change. Future predictions are kind of looking at what's going to happen if no one listens to you. What's the worst case scenario? What's at stake here? Or you can actually do the flip side of this and talk about what's the best case scenario. If people do listen to you, what's going to happen? How are things going to change for the better? So you're going to have to do one of these for the conclusion that you write. So we'll look at some examples. So re-emphasizing the main points. Let's pretend that we've been writing a paper about the death penalty, and now we're going to have our conclusion. In conclusion, the death penalty doesn't deter murderers from killing people. It costs more money in the long run than keeping people in jail for the rest of their lives, and it can't bring back the victim, but only victimizes another family. Most importantly, our legal system is flawed and can imprison and eventually execute innocent people. In light of all of these reasons, we should stop using the death penalty in America. If we don't stop capital punishment, we will surely put innocent people to death accidentally, and it just isn't worth the risk. So, we can assume that previously in this essay, we've talked about all of these things, that it doesn't deter murderers, that it costs a lot of money, that it just creates another death, that the legal system is flawed. So this is just kind of a recap of, here are the things I've already told you about in my essay. Notice that it starts with in conclusion. That's one of the best ways to start a conclusion. So if you want to start your conclusion with those two words and then just go into your list of here's what I've told you, that's a good way to do it. Now we've also got down here this future prediction. If we don't stop capital punishment, we'll put innocent people to death. So future prediction, it's saying, if you don't listen to me, here's what's going to happen. Here's the worst case scenario. No new claims. Now, I'm going to read this next conclusion, and I want you to see if you can pick up on the claim that doesn't fit with the rest, the claim that feels like it was just thrown in there at the last minute. As a country, we have to finally admit to ourselves that abstinent sex education is failing students. We have to change our strategy and adopt comprehensive sex education programs so we can move forward in a new direction, one that will help inform teens so they can make their own choice instead of pretending like they only have one option available to them. We also have to stop underage drinking, which also leads teens to make bad decisions about sex. Parents, politicians, and other supporters of abstinence-only education need to understand that the consequences of failing to fully educate students about sex aren't ours to bear. Students will be the ones to suffer and we'll be the ones to blame. Okay, so did you pick up on the kind of tangential claim that felt like it was just kind of thrown in there? So this underage drinking thing, even though that does lead to teens making bad decisions about sex, and it is in some way related, it doesn't really fit with the rest of the information. It feels like you were typing your paper and you went, oh yeah, I wanted to mention this other thing earlier, but I forgot. Let me just throw it into the conclusion. Don't do that. That's not what the conclusion is for. The conclusion is just a summary of, here's what I told you in my paper. So if you didn't bring it up earlier in the paper, don't bring it up in the conclusion. And once again, we've got this, this call to action. So everything in red is call to action. You know, here's what we have to do to stop this. Here are the things that we need to do. And down here in yellow, we've got our future prediction. If we don't change, students will suffer, and it will be the adults, the parents, the teachers who will be to blame for it. So that's our worst case scenario. Let's look at more call to action and future prediction examples. From the evidence and from my talks with professors and students, I see frequent brief in-class exams as the only way to improve students' study habits and learning, reduce their anxiety and procrastination, and increase their satisfaction with college. Campus administrators should get behind this effort, and professors should get together to consider giving exams more frequently, so more students will have a better chance of making it through college. So again, we've got a list of, here are the things that I've already told you about in my essay. Here's my summary of my own essay. And we've got in red this future prediction, or sorry, this call to action. Here's what people need to do. Whoops. Here's what people need to do to change this problem. So, and here's who needs to do it. We've got campus administrators and professors. Here's what they need to do, and here's what they should be doing. Or sorry, here's who needs to do it, and here's what they need to do. They need to give exams more frequently. And down here, this future prediction. So this is the best case scenario. If people listen to you, if people listen to you and do this, then students are going to be able to make it through college. They're going to have a much better chance. So remember, I said you can do worst case scenario if no one listens to you. You can always also do best case scenario if people do listen to you, and end it on a happier note. All right, so here's your writing activity. I want you to think about your paper topic, and I want you to write both a future prediction and a call to action for your essay based on your topic. So again, for a future prediction, think about who specifically can change this and fix this problem, and how can they do it? What do they need to do? And that might be naming specific people, you know, like our example with the teachers and the administrators. And it also might be just the general public. What can the average person do? And then you want to look at a call to action. So again, I'm sorry, I totally just got these backwards. So call to action is who can do something about it and what do they need to do. And future prediction is tell us the worst case scenario if no one listens to you, or the best case scenario if people do. So I want you to write both, and this can be done in just a sentence if you want to keep it pretty simple and straightforward, or you could write a whole paragraph. That's completely up to you. As long as you have both, you'll get credit for this. But if you go ahead and write a paragraph, then you might actually have, or you might actually through this writing exercise already have written this part of your essay that you have to write. So if whatever you come up with, if you like it, you can actually take that straight from this writing exercise and put it directly into your paper. All right, so do this writing assignment, and this is going to be due in class. You can handwrite this or type it, and if you have any questions about it, just send me an email.